obvious, as it were. And I'm sure that you would have seen this scenario playing out over and over again, the same script being acted every now and then. Even to the extent that even the numerical strength of the people that were abducted at initial stage were not even very clear until the issue of the release. At the level of abduction, we were told it was about 287 or thereabouts, but at the release, we were told there are 137 or thereabouts. And the governor is now very emphatic to the extent that, okay, these were actually the number of students that were abducted ab initio. So if you look at it, but basically, I see more of a business venture as it were now. And I think that it behoves on the government to come all out. Good enough that these children has been released. However, whether released, whatever, whether negotiated, whether ransom was paid, to me, it doesn't make any difference. The joy is that once these children are released. But in most cases, how it works at international level and in other crimes is that even peradventure, let us assume without considering that the 1 billion naira was paid. Now, what government will do is to ensure that you don't have the luxury of spending that money. You don't have such luxury. Now, once those kids are out of your custody, then the government knows what to do at that point in time. But if they keep succeeding, like you have the Dakchi issue, you have the Kankara issue, the Chibok girls are up to today is still unresolved as it were. Now you are not talking of this Kaduna one. And of course, you know that within a space of a month or thereabouts, almost more than 400 people were kidnapped, or people were kidnapped in Kaduna, Environ, and the like. Now it means that this is not a very big business, to the extent that the government, even when Mr. President is saying, I'm not going to pay ransom, you see high caliber people coming out to blackmail the government as if what the government is doing is not right. Meanwhile, if you pay ransom to the terrorists, what you have done is that you have empowered them the more. They will use that money to go and buy arms and ammunition to be able to do what? To be able to continue that dastardly act. There are different ways through which you can settle this matter. In some other client, you can even talk of prisoner swap and the like, just to get your children back. Then subsequently, you know what to do to rearrest those that have been swapped and all those stuff like that. But funding, this is an act of funding terrorism. And the government must be very conscious of that.
All right, Doctor, let's talk about Kuriga community for a second and some other ungoverned spaces like that. I mean, the analysts have said this particular school is easily accessible through Benengwari, and that's a community that is always susceptible to bandit attacks. Now that the students are back, my worry is that what happens to Kuriga community? How do we protect these communities, these ungoverned communities? How do we protect them?
Now, to protect the level of ungoverned space in the north is enormous. And because their landmass is something else. For example, Niger State as a state, the landmass is almost that of Western Nigeria, Southwest in Nigeria. You know, almost just a little less than the whole landmass, you know, in Southwest. So, and that's just one state. So you can see how challenging it could be at times to talk about such ungoverned space. And the same thing with many of these states in the north. I remember there was a time I went to Sokoto. In short, I crossed the border as if I was going to the next street. As if I was going to the next street. And you see people like that. We have the challenge of ungoverned space. We have the challenge of porosity of border. Now, both mixing together. But if you are talking of how do we solve this thing, it's not a rocket science. One, you have been able to identify that you have more than 2,000 illegal routes. You've been able to identify that the landmass is very big. So what do? You use the local hunters. You use the local vigilantes. Constitute them into a well-structured paramilitary organization. Have a rural security network. I've advocated for this long time ago. that the government should look at the possibility of setting up rural security network. Yet the government has to be able to ask NSCDC to take over the issue of protection of our mines and mineral resources and all those stuff like that. It's a good one. But what I was expecting is a holistic approach towards security, especially within the rural area, where you will involve the obas, you involve the emirs and the serikis, you involve the local hunters, you involve the vigilantes. Then another area that the government is not harnessing very well, there are private security companies. In short, we have more than 6,000 of them in this country as we speak today, licensed and unlicensed. The private security industry is about the 5th largest industry in the country. The government is not using, if you are not going to use them for operation, why can't you harness them for intelligence purpose? Because they are in every nook and cranny of this country. Now, the obas and the emirs, why don't you empower them for security purpose? Give them some little funds, fund in such a manner that they become responsible to any security challenge within their domain. I can assure you that when government does that type of thing...
But, Doctor, are you saying this is not happening yet?
It's not happening the way it ought to. You see, we have this security in piecemeal. Yes, I agree that the present government, in fairness to the present government is looking at how to quickly resolve a lot of security challenges. I'm sure that was what also precipitated the idea of having these girls released, I think, within 11 days or thereabout, from captivity, which to me is a very good one. It's a very good one. But it is not all encompassing as we speak. Look, who are those that are sponsoring terrorism? The government is not coming all out against them as we speak. And it's not supposed to be so. It's not enough to say you release the names of X and Z. Releasing their names is not the solution. Why not prosecute them? Who actually are those that are also sending the funds to them? Who are those that are their international collaborators? Why don't you dig deeper than that? Why don't you bring them and make them scapegoat? You've been able to release some names of individuals and names of bureau de change and the like, but that's not the solution. That's not it. Now, what of the political class? Who in the National Assembly are accomplices? Who are the presidency are those that are giving, the strategic information? Who are those in the military formation, Army, Navy, Air Force, Police, NSCDC, and the like, that are feeding terrorists with strategic information? I expect the government to do a holistic audit of all the security agencies in this country to be able to sever the tares from the weeds and be able to tailor, because you are having a situation where you have regular occurrences of ambushment and all those hit and targeting hard targets in this country by terrorists. Why? What gave them that bravado is the fact that they have insider information. The insider threat is too high. The government and security agencies should look at the possibility of reducing insider threat to the barest minimum. Look at all those that are in all these security agencies and ask strategic questions. Why was who in the service and in all these security agencies, who brought them in? Why did they bring them in? At what point in time were they brought in? What is the antecedent so far? Do they have any affinity or any nexus to any terrorist organization or any individual that is sympathetic to terrorism? Have they traveled to any of these terrorist-prone and radically prone countries in the world? Why have they been traveling there? You have to profile all your personnel. Nigeria has gotten to that level where we can no longer assume that everybody is innocent in the army, in the naval, in the air force, or in the police. No, we are fighting against terrorism, which is cancerous. And if that is the case, then the government should come all out.
All right.
Now, those that are in the National Assembly, how many of them? Those people that are saying don't apply a kinetic, they look at non-kinetic approach. Why are they advocating? Is it because of that out of their conviction, or because they are speaking as Clipper said? These are things that government should be talking about. Those that are militias, associations, and all those organizations that are sympathetic to the cause of terrorism in this country.
All right,
government
Doctor.
should come all out and profile them.
Right. So I want us to also talk about the protection of our schools in rural communities. Take, for instance, Kuriga community. Are you on the side of those who have said, if the schools cannot be protected, shut them down?
That will fall, that will just it will just align to the philosophy of Boko Haram that, Western education is a sin. And that is what they want. They want it to close down.
So how do we protect these schools? How do we protect these schools?
One of the mandates of the Corps of Commissioners. The Corps of Commissioners is an arm of the Nigerian Legion. And it is the Nigerian Army that is superintending over Corps of Commissioners. One of their core mandates is school protection. Unfortunately and painfully, they are not executing that mandate because government is not giving them the required backing. If government is able to take that body, the Corps of Commissioner, and give them that required backing, good. Now the IGP has been able to create this wonderful initiative, which some of us applauded him for that wonderful initiative, which is called School Protection Initiative or something like that. Now it's a good one. In short, it's awesome. However, he needs more personnel. He needs special funding for it. So the police formation should be able to look at the possibility of having, additional, because no matter how you say it, if the IGP did not get additional funds to be able to prosecute and to be able to execute this laudable idea, it will still be something that is theoretical. So they need more personnel, they need more equipment, they need funding, they need, all these things that will work together to ensure that schools are protected. Then there's the necessity for technological introduction in schools. We are talking of look, even drone can do the work of 10 soldiers, 20 soldiers. If you look at all these places, why don't you have drones that can even be doing area surveillance, be manning surveillance in all these places without you even having physical personnel on ground? All you need to have on ground will just be a response team. If you have a drone center that is able to, maybe you have drone that is able to patrol 10, 20 schools in a day, and it's not going to cost you. Drone is electrically propelled. It's not going to cost you petrol or aviation fuel and all those stuff like that. And you are going to get a very good result. And all you need to is have response team. And you're able to look at, peradventure there is any eventuality, how many minutes will the response team be able to respond? Now, if the terrorists are aware that this thing patrols school, maybe local government by local government, and it is done on daily basis, now when you give the students the confidence, you give parents confidence, and you are also able to introduce sense of security within that community. Those parents that are afraid, and whether you like it or not, no matter what you say, will not want their children to go back to school again. When they see things like that, they will easily go back to school. Then another thing that makes it easy is that, you have a armed response team that if there's any eventuality, that armed response team have maybe like 5 minutes to be able to approach that particular location. Now, even if they shoot the drone, for example, let us even assume that the terrorists decide to shoot the drone. You already know that that is already a signal to tell you that a harm is about to happen in that locality. So the armed response team will be able to move in like almost immediately. But these are all variable possibilities and solutions.
But, pardon me, allow me comment here. Don't we have all of this in Kaduna State? I mean, if the presence of military institutions were to guarantee peace and protection, Kaduna State would have emerged as the most peaceful and protected state in Nigeria. There are no fewer than 13 military establishments spread across that state. What exactly is happening?
No, you see, when you talk about military formation, understand the way the military works and security agencies work is that apart from protecting their own facility, which they deploy men to protect on daily basis, except for maybe once in a while hard target attacks by terrorists and the like, they will not do anything except they are asked to do something. Okay. So what you are expected to do is to stay at your beat or your location. If your commander or your commandant did not ask you to respond, you do not have the business of responding. And that is how it works, within the security formation. So it's not as if because you have 13 different security formations in Kaduna State, therefore the 13 of them are on patrol, the 13 of them are on operations every now and then. No. The primary responsibility of security in each of those states is that of the police. Now, the police has its own shortcoming in fairness to them, because you are talking of how equipped they are, how well funded they are. the whole police budget in the Federal Republic of Nigeria is not up to the budget of a county, not a state, not up to the budget of a county in the US. So if you look at it from that perspective, I can tell you very boldly that when they finish paying salaries, how much do they have left to be able to execute strategic projects and all those stuff like that? So the government itself should be able to come all out if the government is interested in security. But Kaduna has its own peculiarity because there's high level of religious restiveness in Kaduna between the northern Kaduna and the southern Kaduna, and it's a generational one between the Christians and the Muslims, and we cannot be pretentious about it. And it has evolved over the years. And because it has not been resolved, it actually escalated during the time of El Rufai, especially the second time, if you remember, when it became a major issue. And now El Rufai, with due respect, was not able to manage the security situation in Kaduna very well, maybe because of his bias and the like. And that we can see the result today in Kaduna State. Hita Toto is becoming the governor. Kaduna was relatively peaceful. Yes, they've had their fair share of violence, but it was relatively peaceful. But for 8 years of Governor El Rufai's stay in Kaduna State, he might have succeeded in many other areas, no doubt about it. But insecurity was a colossal failure in Kaduna, and this is what we see as spillover. Also in Kaduna State, don't forget that Kaduna is rich in gold. Kaduna is rich in mineral resources. So you are sure that there's illegal miners there. Now, NSCDC has been building up security team according to the mandate of Mr. President that they should go after criminals in mines and legally mining our mineral resources. But the question is whether NSCDC has the capacity to be able to face these people that are sophisticated. They are armed to the teeth. They are well sponsored by foreigners that are interested in illegally mining our resources and other stuff like that. So that's another discussion.
All right. So, Doctor, 2 more issues before we go tonight, and we have 3 minutes. So I'd like you to please kindly help me manage this time. Earlier you talked about vigilante and the structural framework that should come with it. I'm asking this question because some people have criticized the framework used in recruiting members of vigilantes. They claim some tribes are favored over others, which in turn affects their judgments. Is this in any way important or inimical to the goal for setting up vigilantes?
No, I don't know if anybody is talking about it. Vigilante is a tribal thing. It's like community policing. There is no Igbo man that will come and do vigilante in the Yoruba land.
No. This is coming from, Doctor, this is coming from some northern stakeholders. They're asking for a proper framework in creating these vigilante groups.
No, it's one vigilante group. For example, you have the Vigilante Group of Nigeria. Now, it's a private initiative that cumulatively became an organization registered. I think they already have their act in National Assembly. What I expected is the government to take over that group because they already have a structure. In each state and in each local government, in each community, even in each ethnic group, they have their vigilante. And those people are citizens or indigenes of such places. And that is the way it works. And that is the way vigilante is structured. Vigilante is a community-based policing system. So the issue of talking about tribalism or ethnicity does not come at all. Except you want to talk about the leadership structure up there. That's a different ballgame entirely. But in terms of the operational methodology of vigilante, anybody that is talking about tribal sentiments and the like, I don't think you understand the formation of vigilante and how it works.
All right. So quickly, let me get your opinion about the erstwhile Binance executive. Can you authoritatively say that there was no collusion anywhere?
If the government did not believe there was collusion, the government would not have ordered for the arrest of the officer that was in charge of the protection of the Binance representative. So for government to order for the arrest, because a national embarrassment, in short, it's too embarrassing to hear that a man, the issue is not whether he's guilty or not. If somebody can escape that easy, that cheap, that pedestrian, for me, there's high level of connivance. And you are saying he went out with is it another passport or how? The passport that he went out with, did it bear his name? If it's bearing his name, how did he get out, pass through the immigration without the immigration, the DSS, and all that were at the airport, knowing very well? If it's another passport bearing another person's name, how come his face is now not tallied? They are not able to recognize the face of a man that is criminally remanded or detained at that level. Now that becomes another thing entirely. Absolutely. As far as I am concerned, with my own little understanding, I think there's high level of hanky-panky game in his purported escape.
All right, thank you so much for your insights and brilliant perspective as always. I've been speaking with the Director General, International Institute of Professional Security, Dr. Tony Ofoyetan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, sir.
It's really my glad pleasure. To have you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But the conversation continues from here, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. See you tomorrow.
Bye, Mom.
He's going to play in this weather. Why did you let him go? He might fall ill.
And if he doesn't go out for practice, how will he win more trophies? To protect our family from illness-causing germs during the rainy season, we use Dettol soap every day.
Dettol with Germ Defense gives you protection. Raining season brings a lot of germs, and Dettol soap's Germ Defense protects you from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol sure.
The new Happic sachets. It has a thick formula, so all you need is just one sachet for your toilet bowl. It gives 10 times better cleaning and big savings too.
Wow, Helen!
Sparkling clean toilet with Happic sachet.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Today, there are many complex, boring, expensive, and useless exercise machines in the market. Or you pay over 400,000 naira a year for gym membership and never go. ShopX TV is proud to introduce Total Crunch Evolution, the compact, versatile fitness solution that is perfect for you. With Total Crunch, you get a complete fitness workout in one machine. Say goodbye to ineffective and complicated exercise machines. Now, you have the power to transform your fitness journey and get the body you have always wanted right in the comfort of your own home. Total Crunch is the efficient and effective way to build muscle, tone and tighten your legs, shape your back and pectorals, while strengthening your core and defining your abs. Now that's totally effective to get the body you want. With Total Crunch, your whole body works out at the same time. Only Total Crunch can put your whole body in motion as you burn calories and lose weight. Just one fitness routine a week will achieve serious results in 4 weeks.
Total Crunch Evolution has enhanced the way I work out and the results I achieve. It's not just a fitness equipment, it's a life changer. This versatile, time-saving machine is perfect for anyone looking to lose weight or stay in shape. Trust me, this is a game changer you've been waiting for.
With my busy schedule, finding time to work out and stay in shape has always been a challenge until I discovered the Total Crunch Evolution. It's a lifesaver.
Traditional exercise equipment is large, complex, takes up so much space in your home, and you could be paying up to 400,000 naira for annual gym fees. Get the Total Crunch Evolution, the 2-in-1 fitness solution to save the cost and transform your body from the convenience of your home. Similar equipment costs 300,000 naira, but you can get the Total Crunch Evolution for not 300,000 naira, not even 200,000 naira. Order right now and get your Total Crunch Evolution for just 179,950 naira only. And that's not all. You can get our Total Crunch Evolution in 2 easy payments of 89,975 naira. That's right. Pay twice to get your Total Crunch. And remember, if
At independence, Nigeria's forest cover was 35%, but currently stands at 3%, indicating that the forest has been destroyed. The federal government needs to fulfill its promise to return the country's depleted forest cover to 25%. And that's according to Nigerian diplomat and former Minister of Petroleum, Philip Asiodu. This and more will be our focus in this week's edition of Green Angle. Welcome. I am Esther Mokwariola. And before we begin, let's bring you updates from the world of environment.
Nigeria is home to diverse species of plants and animals, but are currently being threatened by human population expansion, hunting, poaching, and habitat loss.
In Nigeria, so many species have gone into extinction. We used to have giraffes here, we used to have other creatures here, like cheetahs and so on. They're not here, they've gone.
Despite ongoing concerns, Wildlife Conservation Day serves as a platform to highlight the benefits of conservation, address the urgency of combating wildlife crime, and mitigate human-induced reduction of species.
Presently, the W4, the wildlife law in Lagos State, is being reviewed. It's being reviewed so that it can work according to the present situation of things and ensure that those who are building estates are able to create a green space to ensure that the wildlife around that area are preserved and conserved and not endangered.
We need to let people know that the idea of just going into the bush and clearing and just destroying this wildlife for things, for our stomach, for things like ivory, and it's no longer sustainable.
So the awareness, it needs to really get out there and let people realize that there must be a change, a renewal of our minds.
In the meantime, several initiatives are being implemented to promote wildlife conservation among young adults in some public schools.
When you rear a snail, you give them leaf every day to eat, and you always monitor them, and you will not allow worm and other ants to harm them.
I learned how to plant and how to fertilize my plants. When I plant, I water it every day. I weed the dirty there so that no dirty will germinate with my plants.
This year's World Wildlife Day focuses on digital innovation and emphasizes how digital conservation technologies and services can drive wildlife conservation and foster human-wildlife coexistence. Few weeks into the rainy season, and the Lagos Ministry of Environment isn't leaving to chance its objective to achieve a flood-free metropolis. Commissioner for the Environment and his team are on the streets again to monitor areas clogging drainage paths. First stop is Apapa, where concerns arise over an encroachment on drainage channels by landowners.
The whole of Apapa collectors are blocked. The right of way had been taken over by individuals who moved their fences to take extra land and not allow us take care of the collectors. And we have no time to waste. Rain have started. So we go into Apapa and start full enforcement of our right of way by Monday morning.
The team also inspected Rock Drive in Lekki Phase 1 in response to complaints about the conversion of a residential area into a diesel depot.
We had to put a stop to it, and I've told LASEPA and Lajes to arrest whoever is on ground, move all the trucks, the diesel trucks and their tanks away to safekeeping with the government.
In the meantime, the officials expressed determination to address the flooding issue across the state by implementing year-round drainage cleaning measures to control flooding. Recently, squatters around Jakonde Estate received relocation notices from the Lagos State government.
The
will clear this one this Friday. Whoever we meet, we don't give our notice, we don't retreat.
Following the notice period, the enforcement team has demolished all illegal structures in the vicinity. Most structures and shanties now lie in ruins, with affected individuals seen salvaging what they can. Some claim they are unaware of the impending demolition, while others are demanding compensation.
People inside the estate did not tell them anything, they did not notify them. Today, it was one policeman just came and talked to me that I should tell my people that they should move their things. And I said, but they didn't say they will come to this place. We saw where they put their where they placed their something there. They are from year to year. Government should try and compensate people that they are there, because it's not easy for people moving from one place to another in this time of hardship. Most of them are nowhere to sleep, nowhere to go to their family. Some people, they don't have their widow, they don't have husband, they don't have, even some men that doesn't have wife. Only him and the children, they are there.
A senior official from the Ministry of Environment emphasizes that this enforcement action is aimed at enhancing the state's aesthetic appeal.
Just as Mr. Governor has directed, anybody trying to change the urban development plans of the state would not be allowed. And this is a strong statement that all our spaces will be governed and will be manned. We want a situation where we can account for everybody within the state.
Meanwhile, residents have been urged to comply with the state's environmental laws and refrain from altering the architectural plan of the state.
Now we shine a spotlight on a visionary leader's impassioned plea for environmental stewardship. Izoma Philip Asiodu, president of the Nigerian Conservation Foundation Board of Trustees, celebrates his 90th birthday by championing the cause of ecological conservation.
Nigeria's diverse ecosystems, from lush forests to sprawling wetlands, are under increasing threat due to human activity and climate change. In the face of these challenges, a message resonates with urgency and hope, urging stakeholders to prioritize the protection of the country's natural resources. In a recent media interview held in Lagos, Philip Asiodu made a compelling case for the proper management of ecological funds in Nigeria. He stressed the crucial role of directing these funds to the Ministry of Environment and NGOs dedicated to the environmental protection, ensuring effective preservation of Nigeria's natural resources.
Government should abandon these elements of them who do so, believe so, should abandon this immediate self-gratification. They should think of the future, think of children's children, and help to make sure that money voted for ecology is really channeled to ministries of environment and to NGOs who are trying to make sure that the environment.
His call comes at a critical time as Nigeria grapples with the alarming decline in forest cover. Once at 35% during independence, Nigeria's forest cover now stands at a mere 3%, prompting Mr. Asiodu to urge the government to fulfill its promise to restore it to 25%.
The promise made by the Nigerian government in the 1980s to return Nigeria to a situation where 25% of our area is covered by forests. It was 35% plus at independence. It is 3% now. Forests have been destroyed, and there is a world campaign, because until we get back to that FAO recommendation of 25% forest cover, the environment is in danger. And let us not be part of those who destroyed the environment.
In line with international mandates, Mr. Asiodu revealed an ongoing campaign focused on tree planting and afforestation. He called on the NCF to expand its initiatives, such as the Lekki Conservation Centre, to inspire environmental stewardship nationwide.
NCF is doing its best to replicate this Lekki Conservation Centre in every state. Where they are done, they should participate, keeping them, unsoiled, undamaged. And that way we will be helping our children and children's children. In school, we have school nature clubs organized by NCF. They should join, participate. In universities, we also have units.
He also emphasized the importance of individual action, urging every Nigerian to plant trees as a simple yet impactful contribution to mitigating climate change.
If there is space in their compound, they consult everybody, father, mother, all the people, and the space to plant a tree, they should plant it. Not only plant it, but water it, make sure it reaches the point it can survive.
As Nigeria celebrates the nonagenarian's milestone's birthday, his legacy serves as a beacon of hope for a brighter, greener tomorrow.
Green Angle returns in just a moment. Stay with us. The coastal areas of Lagos face a myriad of challenges, ranging from coastal erosion to unauthorized dredging activities. Commissioner for Waterfront, Dayo Alebioshu, sheds light on the proactive measures undertaken by the ministry to address these pressing issues plaguing the state's coastline.
Erosion is currently a global phenomenon. It's an imbalance in the coastline activities, which is wind, current, and water. We have seen this happen not just in Nigeria, but in various parts of the country, but in various parts of the nation. But Lagos State is really feeling it. It's been felt in places like Itoke village, Idotun village, Origon, Mayegun, Okwaja, Okunde, and several other places. We've lost some natural lakes, and we've lost a lot of land. If you remember at the Bar Beach, Ahmad Bello Way, it was a good distance from land, from the road to the water. It's almost a kilometer away. It was a good distance. It got to a point where it had taken out even the roads, and of course that's what led, the reclamation was what led to what you have, what we call Eco Atlantic City at the moment. We have to reclaim first that which has been lost and then protect it. We can't just protected what's left. What's left is almost nothing. So it's important to reclaim the entire coastline, which is it comes at a very hefty cost. At the moment, we've put in about 15 kilometers of groins in place, but I'm aware that from Alpha Beach all the way to Ekpe needs that's about 42 kilometers of coastline that needs to be protected urgently. And that'll take about 105 groins. However, as of about a year ago, a kilometer of groin cost about 12 billion, roughly around about 12 billion to put in place. So it comes at a very, very hefty cost. And now we're not just talking about groin, we're also talking about land reclamation, coastline reclamation, to serve as a buffer between the road and what was the existing coastline, what was the coastline, differently from what the existing coastline is now. should ask ourselves is, why would government now want to do what will jeopardize lives and properties? Another question to ask ourselves is, what happened before Eco Atlantic came into being? It wasn't just buildings around there. The whole of Victoria Island was under threat. They put several things in place. But what happened? This is a global phenomenon. It's not something that's just happening in Nigeria. It's all along the coastline. This is what, if you go to different countries, Cameroon, if you go, you would see the same things happening. This is a function of, there's also the hand of God involved, the act of God involved in this. However, don't forget that what was reclaimed by Eco Atlantic was what was lost into the Atlantic. So the question is, I like to work with, like I always say, it's not enough for you to do your best at something. You must know what to do first before you do your best at it. And we work with people who are experts in there to say, listen, advise me. Like going to court, you would need a lawyer. And in the same way, we're saying, well, we have this application for reclamation. We need you to sign off and give the go-ahead before we're able to do this. And only then, there have been several applications that have been turned down for different technical reasons that those reports spoke to. And before this was done, now Victoria Island is no longer under threat when you refer to the Eco Atlantic issue. But the coastline was under threat even before Eco Atlantic came into being. So there are a lot of speculations going on out there, but which I can understand, which I respect, understand, and appreciate. But the most important thing is your ability to sieve through that. Just like when you buy, not that I'm comparing it to beans, but when you buy a bag of beans, you bought a bag of beans, but for you to cook it, you have to, sieve through, pick out the impurities and all. So in the same way, you also have to pick out certain things to say, no, this does not jive, or this speaks to this. And of course, when you have the go-ahead of everybody who's signed off, the question is, can everybody be wrong? That's what I have to work with, evidence that's available to me. Illegal dredging has affected us in so many ways. It needs to be sanitized. There currently, I think there are only a couple of companies dredging the Atlantic Ocean. Every other company continues to dredge, both legally and illegally, the lagoon. And it's the lagoon that also feeds us. That's where we get the fish and our seafood. That's where we get everything from, mostly the lagoon. It's affecting the price of food, fish, and things like that, because every time there's dredging activities, it affects the base of water. On top of that, you have microorganisms that fish feed off, and every time it's disturbed, they move further, which means fishermen would have to follow them, and the further they go, the more expensive fish is, amongst several other things. Places like Ikorodu, they continue. Just in the last 8 years, a road that was meant to last for as long as 30, 40 years had given way as a result of illegal dredging activities.
Why did you stop it?
Oh, we've started since resumption. We've had a